Welcome to This Week in BJJ, the only show running the gamut of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and running it live every Friday night.
Isso é muito forte, puxa aí, cara. We all knew this was going to happen. It's been a long road for me. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I thought I have no future. It looked bad for me. I was going down the wrong place. And Jiu-Jitsu is what saved my life. It saved everything. It gave me a family. It gave me a child. It gave me this school. It gave me all you as my friends. Without you guys, I would be nothing. Absolutely nothing. I have such a desire, such a passion to be alive now. Such a passion to train, such a passion to teach Jiu-Jitsu, such a passion to have such good friends in my life. Such a passion to watch my son grow up in such an amazing environment. And I have Jiu-Jitsu to thank for everything. I feel like a new spirit every time I finish training. Everybody's like, you're crazy. Spar with Abreu, spar with Budo, spar with all these guys. Touch my face, cut me open. It's like I'm born every day and I have a new desire to live. And that's what I want to see. I want to see this world become a better place through Jiu-Jitsu, using Jiu-Jitsu as a tool, using these friendships, using the loyalty, the honesty, the honor. It's so amazing, you know. One thing Master Rafael said to me one day changed my whole life. I don't even think he realizes, but he said, keep your eyes on the sun and everything will fall behind you. And that's all I do now. Keep looking forward to new adventures, to new thrills, to watching all you guys grow, to someday giving all these guys black belts. That's my dream, that's my goal. So I just want to say, guys, thank you again so much. I love everybody here. It's an honor to have you guys here supporting me today. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank every single one of you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of This Week in BJJ. I am Budo Jake. Today is September 21st, 2012. We just saw a nice video of my buddy Orlando Sanchez getting his black belt. But first, Dane, how you doing today?
I am fantastic. We had a great night training last night.
Yes.
With down in Michville with AJ and Chiron. So I'm kind of riding that high right now.
Mm-hmm. Man, 2 weeks without a show, just taking 1 week off. You know, when we started this show a few months ago, people said, Jake, how are you going to be able to talk about stuff every week? There's not that much that goes on. But that's not true. We didn't do an episode last week, and now we're flooded with topics. We could do 3 hours tonight.
I mean, pretty much weekly, we actually have to cut things from the menu.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
Orlando Sanchez, great having you here today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
That was it was pretty cool seeing you get your black belt there. Did you anticipate that emotion coming out before?
Oh, I knew it was going to happen. I'm even getting teary-eyed just like watching the replay. One of the most emotional, most beautiful days of my life, for sure.
What do you think about guys that don't cry when they get their black belt?
I don't know. To each their own, you know. It's a different road to the black belt for everybody. For me, it was a life-saving experience, so that's why it was so emotional for me.
Want to get more into your life story later?
Yeah.
For sure. But first, the reason we didn't have a show last week is because we were at the American Nationals, and Dane, you were there all weekend long. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. There was a lot of really good matches, and I thought, it might dilute it because one day is no gi and one day is gi. Guys might choose one or the other, but there were a lot of people that did both days.
Yep.
A lot of the standouts, Bruno and Caio. Caio with that crazy footlock the second day on the no gi day.
That was awesome. Yeah.
I think we have a video of that.
Against Fabio Passos.
Which would be nice to see because when I was there, I was on the other side of the mat and I just hear people yelling and Caio was already standing up. That's how fast it was.
19-second footlock. Let's take a look.
We're paying tribute to Orlando again. There we go.
This is actually against Brandon Mullins. He gets Brandon in an interesting submission. Some people would call it the cop lock, where you put the arm behind the back and raise up. It's almost like a...
You got a few people asking what the cop lock was.
Right, here it is. Caio has his left hand.
Chicken wing cop lock.
Didn't back the cop.
That was nice.
And then against, like you said, against Fabio Passos, a super fast footlock.
It's kind of a tournament of unorthodox positions, right? Because we saw quite a few of them in the finals, at least in the black belts.
I like to see that.
Caio and Bruno for a while were in that inverted 50-50.
50-50, yeah. I would say Bruno was Caio was the standout of the show. To be a rooster weight, winning the absolute division in the no-gi, that was amazing.
That's his second absolute, right?
That's his second. He's been in a few absolutes, but he beat Mikey Gomez last year in Las Vegas.
And it's cool to see him do so well against guys with appreciable weight differences. It's not like a rooster weight versus a lightweight. Like a lot of these guys are middle or medium heavies.
Bruno Antunes is no slouch.
Not at all. And he did really well too.
He's been doing really well.
Yeah.
He's training with Homeo a lot down there, and it's changed his game a lot.
Yep.
You can see it. He was on point.
Yeah.
Do we have that Caio clip?
We don't have it.
Okay. Well, you can see the Caio clip on the new episode of IBJJF TV, 10 and 11. Those are both up on YouTube and iTunes.
So, Jake, you were in Atlanta last week.
Yep.
You were there for the Atlanta Open, which was an awesome tournament. Any standouts there?
Yeah, the big standout was Kenan Cornelius, who just got his brown belt a couple months ago, and he looks like a black belt out there. That guy
He's awesome.
He had 5 matches at the tournament, 5 submissions.
So, Orlando, was there a question in your mind about how Kenan would do when he stepped up to brown belt?
No, I knew he was going to do that.
Right.
I would expect nothing less from Lloyd Irvin's guys that commit themselves like that. I'm good friends with DJ and Willie, and I've been competing against Lloyd Irvin guys since I started, and I have so much respect and admiration for Master Lloyd Irvin and his guys. I knew Kenan was going to come out and do the same thing.
So, what do you think the Lloyd Irvin magic is from your experience?
I think it's the dedication. I think it's the camaraderie they have. I think that they, live, breathe, train everything together. They're all like one person. It's very respectable. I have a lot of respect for that.
Right.
It's really cool to see. Really cool to see the way they support each other. They travel with each other. They compete with each other. It's awesome.
A lot of people were looking forward to seeing Kenan versus Sinistro. They met up in their weight class, and Kenan choked Sinistro. Then they met up in the absolute, and it was a replay of the same thing. Kenan got 2 chokes on.
Right, so a definitive end, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Kenan making waves at brown belt.
Yeah. And talk about Team Lloyd Irvin. They did amazing. They got the absolute trophy and the absolute gold medal in all weight.
Yeah, so
blue, purple, brown, and black.
That's cool, man.
For a team that doesn't have a lot of guys.
Yeah, you were telling me they didn't roll in there with a ton of guys, right?
Lloyd called it Operation Invade Atlanta.
I love his sayings, man.
In true Lloyd Irvin fashion, right?
I love it.
So while you're in Atlanta, you did IBJJF TV, but you did also Rolled Up, right?
Yes.
Who were you guys filming with?
We filmed at the Alliance headquarters with Jacare, the leader of Alliance, and Lucas Lepre, who's teaching now in Atlanta, and also Ian McPherson.
So I have to ask, Alliance being what they are, what is the gym like? Like in terms of training, what is it? Just military, like they go at drills, or? No,
I wouldn't say military. Actually, there's definitely a place for the metal chasers, but it seemed to have a place for the guys, the hobbyists as well. Yeah. But it seemed like a really cool gym. If I lived in the area, I would definitely recommend it. Right. Jacare seemed like a really good leader.
Without giving away the episode, how were the roles?
I was fighting a bad cold while we were there, so that's the worst. So yeah, the roles weren't a lot of fun for me, but I think it showed the showed Lucas Lepre and Ian McPherson in a very good light.
Have you ever trained with any of the Alliance guys?
I have not. I have not. I mean, well, now I train with. We do some training with Cobrinha.
Oh,
I
cool.
do with me, Fabricio Verdum, and Cobrinha. We do some private training together for MMA stuff and go over Jiu-Jitsu for MMA. So he's amazing, just awesome. Such a nice guy, amazing guy, true champion.
I see a lot of pictures on Instagram of you with Cobrinha. Why does Cobrinha want such a big guy training with him? Why is Verdum training with Cobrinha?
It's more of it's actually the other way. It's Verdum training. It's Cobrinha teaching Verdum. He's kind of playing the coach role, and me and Verdum are training together, and Cobrinha's being the instructor. Okay. So yeah, he's showing, tightening up Verdum's game for his next UFC fight, and I'm lucky enough to be with Verdum. So
Cobrinha is one of the best.
Yeah.
But do you think big guys like you guys can play Cobrinha's game?
He's so smart, and I think that's what attracted Verdum to him is. He just knows the game real well, and a lot of people don't realize Verdum can play some incredible little man jiu-jitsu. He's really flexible, and I love it, man. So we have a good time. We have a real good time. Cobrinha's a great guy, super smart. He has a really nice school there in Los Angeles.
I was going to say, it's pretty telling that you have Verdum, who's an excellent BJJ player, and then he's going for Cobrinha for coaching.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's what I've learned is training with such champions is the humility, like how humble these guys are, and especially somebody like Verdum, who has accomplished so much. He has no ego in training. We've trained together for a long time now, every day, and to go over to someone like Cobrinha and have him, show positions and stuff, it's so fun, man. It's really cool. It's really cool to see guys at that level who have accomplished so much be so humble. Really cool.
Do you feel any awkwardness as far as the Gracie Barra guy training with Alliance? Or anything like
I
that?
do not. I think it's silly. I think it's silly if you do feel like that. I think, hey, in competition, yeah, for sure, you're a part of your team. I have loyalty to my team, to my school. I own a Gracie Barra. Of course, I'm a Gracie Barra black belt, but I don't, there's none of that between us. To me, I feel Jiu-Jitsu is one sport. It's one martial art. It's one life. We're all the same. Everybody's doing Jiu-Jitsu. It's not like I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu and over there's like a Kempo artist. Like, no, we're all doing the same thing, So I don't know that we should all, be able to train and do what we want, but at the same time, have a loyalty for your school and for your camp and for your professor. I think loyalty to the professor is a huge thing,
You mentioned your school. What's the name of your school?
Gracie Barra, Pasadena.
Is it difficult balancing running the school and finding your own training time and competing time?
It's been I don't sleep much anymore, but thankfully my brother has come. He's on board with me now, so he takes care of most of the school stuff, the business stuff, all that stuff, and then I get to teach all night, and I separate every morning from when I wake up to about 3 o'clock is all my training time. Mm-hmm. So I train 5 days a week. And then get back to the school and then teach all night. So we've found a good mix. I've found a good balance.
You ever get tired of training?
Never. I couldn't picture my life not doing it now.
Have you ever had to take a layoff?
Man, not really. Even I've had some serious injuries and still haven't stopped. Right. Like I dislocated my knee a couple years ago and still figured out a way to train. I have to keep myself sane.
Well, I don't know about you, Jake, but I'm good for like 4 days before I start like 9 on the furniture. It gets bad.
Yeah, it gets bad. It's
Definitely keeps you balanced.
Yeah.
Training. BJJ fan in the chat room's asking when you roll with Cobrinha, who wins?
I've never rolled. We've never rolled together. We've never rolled. He's more of just doing instruction. But I will tell you one thing: when he'll show a position, and he'll get on my back, like the other day he got on my back as a shoulder doing a position, and he just squeezed on seatbelt control. Incredible. I was like, what the hell was that? It's very, very, very impressive, man. Yeah. He's awesome. So I have a lot of respect for him.
Here's a question: is it technique, strength, or both?
As far as
like the pressure he gave you?
His is both, man. He's in. My favorite thing is watching him like triangle, show up position like triangle Verdum. It's amazing. It's his jiu-jitsu is amazing. It's really fun to watch.
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
It's like a 50-50 between strength and technique?
I think so. You know, I think it depends on the person, but he is strong as an ox. He is so strong, and he's got amazing techniques. So I think both of them together makes him even a super freak, you know?
Speaking of strong, I'm looking at your arms right now. I think your biceps are about the size of my calves, my thighs. Do you think jiu-jitsu is easier for big guys like you?
I don't. I think, I mean, if you're a big guy, you're going to be really one-dimensional. People look at me and always mistake me for being a big, buff, strong dude who won't be able to move. But I take pride in being able to move. I think that's what's got me to my success. I'm really strong. At the same time, extremely athletic and agile and quick and fast, and so.
Which do you prefer, top game or bottom game?
I mean, I'm a top guy. I can play top like crazy, but. Lately, I've been working a lot on bottom. Actually, when I won the Brazilian Nationals, I think I pulled guard almost every match.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, except for 2 of them.
Was that a conscious decision? Did you go out there saying?
Most of them, yeah. Most of them. Because I've been playing a real good like deep half guard game. So
nice.
I felt real comfortable that tournament.
There can't be many Americans that won the Brazilian Nationals. I know Roberto won a few years ago, 2007, I think.
I won the double gold. I think I'm the only American ever to win the double gold at brown belt. Mm-hmm. I think that's what somebody told me.
Right.
But it was an awesome tournament. It was real surreal. Really cool, man. It was truly my best jiu-jitsu experience of my life, going down to Brazil and being around there. And I went and stayed with my professor, Zé Radiola, at his school, Gracie Barra Pernambuco. Mm-hmm. Stayed there for 2 weeks, just living and training with him in his house, and then took a flight down there and competed. And Romeo was there, and he coached me through all my matches.
Nice.
And it was beautiful. Beautiful. I beat some really big names in that tournament, and it was fun.
Was it intimidating competing in Brazil?
I love it. I think that's what drives me the most is when I get in situations like that. I think it makes you focus a little more because your guard is up a little bit. It's out of the ordinary. So
I was going to ask you, was there that sense of we're at the motherland? This is where this was created.
It was cool. Like at first when you walk in there, you kind of feel that, and then it's just like every other tournament. You know, put your gi on, tie your belt, put tape on, put your mouthpiece in. And you hear the announcer call, and then the difference is everything's in Portuguese. But and the guys, everyone's real tough, man. Every match, there was no easy match there. Every single match was tough.
Orlando, I want to get back to your personal story in a minute, but we were talking about the Atlanta Open, and first of all, we're going to show Kenan Cornelius' fights. He was the standout of the tournament, like I mentioned. All of his fights from Atlanta at the end of the show. So if you're watching this live, you'll get to see his matches at the end of the show. And rolled up Atlanta, we have a clip that we're going to show. Training with Jacare, Lucas Lepre, and Ian McPherson. We already showed it? Okay, we already showed it. Next thing on the list, Nogi.com. The site has been totally revamped, and if you guys are competing in the Nogi Worlds or Nogi Pan this weekend, it's a good time to get your IBJJF approved rash guard shorts. Save 20% off the site for a limited time. Use coupon code NEWNOGI.
And I was at the last Nogi Worlds, and I cannot underestimate how many people I saw do what I call the bleacher run, running up the bleachers to grab something IBJJF approved. So
nice.
Check the rules. Make sure you have your gear beforehand. The last thing you want to do is that 400-meter sprint to and from the Budo Videos booth.
Right before your match.
Right before your match.
Yeah. So once again, NEWNOGI is the coupon code for Nogi.com.
Nice.
Dan, I want to thank you for bringing in the Newton's Folly Granny Smith Draft Cider. It's pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So for people asking, because I've gotten a few questions, I'm actually allergic to wheat and gluten, and so beer sometimes upsets my stomach, so that's why I've been bringing in the cider. So.
And usually we roll afterwards. Sometimes beer gets a little heavy. Yeah. Cider's good. We talked about Cobrinha earlier. Cobrinha's main teacher was Tereré, and recently he entered a tournament in Mexico City. We're going to show a clip of that, and as you can imagine, Tereré just tore up the competition. There's not a lot of big name guys in Mexico.
I went through the clips. Yeah,
I remember seeing this in the news. I'm like, what? He was out?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. A lot of people. Tereré had a drug problem, so he's been out for a long time. But it was great to see him back in action, and it just looked like nothing had changed.
He's got such a cool energy, man.
Yeah.
Such a cool energy.
And it was cool how the whole crowd was chanting, "Whoop, Tereré."
Yeah, it was so good. And he did this butterfly sweep, and it looked like he just sat down and was like, butterfly sweep, and just flipped him over. It was crazy. I wish my butterfly suits looked that way.
You can see the matches in their entirety on YouTube. Just search for Tay Today in Mexico. All right, guys, we'll be right back. We're going to head to a commercial.
BudoVideos.com, home of the world's largest selection. BudoVideos.com, home of the world's largest selection of quality Jiu-Jitsu kimonos. Shoyu Roll, Storm, Tatami, Bull Terrier, Venom, and others. Styles from more than 30 top brands in stock and ready to ship. BudoVideos.com. You're only a click away from owning a new gi today.
Let's talk about Rolled Up for a minute. The Sambo episode came out last week, and it's been getting great reviews. Have you guys had a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I've watched it. Okay, so talk about what it's like training at a Sambo gym, because we've all trained at Brazilian, and it seems way different than what we usually see today.
Yeah, it was a little different. The training paradigm is different. They don't care about position so much, and they'll go to what looks like, bad places just to get footlocks. But one particular drill that Sambo Steve had us do, which I thought was really cool, is you let the guy throw you, and as soon as your back hits the mat, you explode and try to get back up to your feet. Which, that's not anything that we ever do in Jiu-Jitsu. We're never trying to get back to stand up. You stay on the ground. And I found that that's a bad habit of mine. Like, if you can stand up, why not? You don't want to disengage, but I think there's a skill to standing up, which wrestlers are very good at, which I'm not, and that was a good drill to bring that up.
I actually teach a lot of my students that very thing, with just through my years of competing and stuff.
Yep.
And I always thought, hey, there's a situation, you're in a bad situation, get up. Get up.
Especially a self-defense situation.
Yeah.
Really good skill. So yeah, I would encourage anybody that's just done Jiu-Jitsu, go try a Sambo school. It's
cool.
Interesting paradigm. Then the other Rolled Up preview clip is out for next month's episode with Marcelo Garcia. This is the one everybody's been asking about for a long time.
Nice.
I got the worst beating of my life, but I loved every minute of it. Let's take a look at the preview.
I think it's a quality for everything. You gotta give 100%. You know what I mean? If you really want, you gotta give 100%. Do you know why? Sometimes people give 80% and they think they give 100%. It's just bad because that person maybe never gonna get what they want, but they already give 80%. You know what I mean? So if you if you don't want to give 100%, don't give even 80%. Give less because you're not gonna get that far. You know? So if you wanna go far, you should give 100%, not 80%. You know, because 80% is gonna just waste your time. You know?
Yeah, that was a beating, but it was fun.
I can imagine.
You see Marcelo gets a hold of you and you're yanking. Is his grip strength just...
His grip is incredible. In no-gi, I've never experienced a grip like that. Usually I've always been able to get my grip out.
Yeah.
And he gives me a really good tip at the end of the video, which you'll see next month in October. But yeah, Marcelo's grip's insane.
I mean, Orlando, we were talking about this off camera just now, but in that... Marcelo says, to really succeed in Jiu-Jitsu, you have to give 100%. And he feels most bad for the guy that gives 80% because they're 20% of the way there. But it's going to be really difficult or impossible for them to get
For sure, man. I think in anything that you want to become a champion in or successful in, you have to give it 100%. I think if you don't give it 100%, you're just, like you said, cheating yourself, because you're spending so much time and energy, but you're not giving it yourself. You're all. So For sure, I agree with that 100%.
When you were coming with, how did it feel? Did it feel like you're giving all, or was it more? Or?
For me, as far as coming up,
yeah.
For me, I knew I was giving it my everything. I mean, I had no other choice. As you guys kind of know my story, I had nothing else.
Right.
Like I was at rock bottom.
Well, let's start over. Tell us your story. First of all, how did you get into jiu-jitsu?
Got into jiu-jitsu because I was kind of in a lost place. Just in a place I was like 360 pounds, on drugs, doing lots of drugs, lots of drinking, lots of partying. I was always a competitive athlete. I went to college on a scholarship, played football, and then once that was over, I was like, I mean, the rigors of like playing football is like, all day long, and then all of a sudden you have all this free time, but you need some excitement. So partying was there, so I kept partying. Next thing you know, it's like 5 years go by and I was just engulfed in drugs and alcohol and just crazy stuff.
Do you regret your drug use?
No, I don't, because I don't know how my life would have turned out, if I wouldn't have. Because it brought me to the point of looking for a way out, and that's how I found jiu-jitsu. What
kind of drugs were you doing?
Cocaine. Cocaine was my favorite drug.
When you started jiu-jitsu, did you know it was a do or die type thing? Or?
I actually started doing Muay Thai first. Like I started doing the Muay Thai. I had a friend, this guy named Ricky Delgado. I'll never forget his name, because he was the first guy to help me out. I was like 360 pounds, I remember, and I was just sitting there like, man, I need to do something or I'm gonna die, like straight up, I remember laying in bed, like looking at the mirror on my bed, and I hate cigarettes, and I was smoking cigarettes, like going to sleep, like I was bad, real bad, and I knew I had to do something, so I talked to my buddy, and he said, yeah, he started holding past me, and I was like, do like 4 punches, I'd die, And so then he took me over to a gym in Pasadena called Sit Yotong, a Muay Thai school, and became really close with Walter McCloskey, the head instructor there, really cool guy. And then from there started, training, and then I found Jiu-Jitsu, and then was introduced to that, and then just took me over. Like I got a little taste of it, and that was it.
So that's when your drug use ended?
Yeah, I still fought with it. Of course, anybody who's an addict who knows it's not a overnight thing. I still work to it this day. I'm not perfect, and I've been sober for a while now, a few years, and it's a daily thing.
As somebody who's never done coke before, does anything match the high that you got from that drug?
It wasn't even a high. It was just, it's a chase. Like it's so scummy. It's so scummy, but you can't stop.
Some people talk about the first high being the best, and it never gets that good again.
It never gets. You literally chase the high. And like it comes to a point where you don't want to do it anymore, but you can't stop, and then and then it just turns into this downhill spiral. And I was on the spiral hardcore until jiu-jitsu, man. Jiu-jitsu was it for me. Now I couldn't even imagine my life being the way it is now. I'm so blessed. Some days I'm sitting there training, like training MMA at King's or rolling jiu-jitsu, and I look around and I'm like seeing all these guys and then my master Rafael Cordeiro and going to Brazil and doing all this stuff. I'm like, man, like I could have never imagined it. Never imagined it.
Who do you consider your main teacher?
For jiu-jitsu, my professor is Zé Radiola. Yeah, he's now that's who I look up to. That's my mentor. That we talk on Skype all the time. I go to stay at his place in Brazil. He just came out here to promote me, and he stayed with me for a while. But coming up from the beginning, Roberto Bahal was the guy who was there and kicking my ass every single day for years. Every single day we trained together when he got here from Brazil, and he just put it down on me, dude, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Choking my face, you train with Roberto. He so strong, so much pressure, but it's awesome, man.
So you mentioned Zé Radiola. Most people know him as being the instructor of Braulio and Victor Estima. You have any interesting stories of Zé?
He's an awesome guy. He's a no-nonsense guy, and I think that's why we connect so well. He's loyal. He's on top of stuff, and he respects everybody so much, but he demands it in return. He's a tough dude, but so wise, and more jiu-jitsu knowledge than anybody I've ever met. He is by far, I mean, he's like an encyclopedia. It's like you'll sit there and he'll just go position after position. Then he gets on tangents and he just keeps going. And it just turns into like a windstorm of moves. It's incredible. He's one of the most incredible guys I've ever met as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned.
I was so impressed the first time I met him was at a training camp, and he was coaching guys who didn't even speak his own language, but he's still able to get his point across.
You know, he's the kind of guy who, like, well, the first time I ever met him, I felt like we've known each other for years, and he said the same thing. Like, we had this connection, and he just, like, you know, I feel like I've known him for my whole life. You know, we had that connection, and he's incredible. He's the kind of guy who walks into a room and like you feel the vibrations, you know, you feel his vibrations, you feel him, you know, and he can connect to anybody on such a cool. He doesn't even speak English, and like we were talking. I remember when we were having dinner at his house one night. I was talking to his wife and stuff, and we were laughing with jokes about Zé, because he would travel to like all these countries because he's got like Max Carvalho in Hungary. He's got all these guys. All his black belts are all over the world, and he's like in Hungary or in Russia, and he doesn't speak any of the languages, but he gets along with the guys and sits there and laughs and. You know, like he knows. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. I want to be like that when I grow up. That's who I look up to.
The other thing that impressed me is that when he was at the camp, everybody from white belt to a black belt got a piece of his attention. Has that always been the case?
That's always, yes. And he gives so much of himself. You know, if you're loyal to him and respect him and you're part of the team, he lives and dies Gracie Baja. He lives and dies his guys, and he goes above and beyond. You know, just like I have come to do now for my students. You know, he goes above and beyond for his guys. It's really, really impressive. It feels like that real old school type stuff. You know, like you watch the old mobster movies and stuff. He kind of gives that sense. You know, that sense of respect. You know, it's really cool, man. I love the guy a lot.
And how long did it take you to get your black belt?
4 years exactly.
Do you feel like you were ready for it?
I do. I feel like I'm, you know, because of my past, everything I've ever done since I was 3-4 years old, I've always like strived to be the best at. I wanted to be the best. And with Jiu-Jitsu, I kept competing and kept going and kept winning and kept doing things. I feel like I love being the underdog. You know, I don't like being the guy on top. I like being the guy on the bottom having to climb. What excites me, you know? So now getting my black belt in 4 years, one of the fastest to ever get it here in America, it's like, I love it because now I feel like I'm at the bottom again, you know? And now I feel like I'm a white belt again, you know? And I don't in any way think, oh, I'm the best or I'm awesome or I'm going to smash. Like, no way. Like, I love it.
We've talked about that a lot, but people don't realize the black belt is by no means the end because there is no ceiling there. It goes up and up and up.
And that's the cool thing is like once you start training at guys like at the level that I'm training with all the time, it's like you realize how much there is to jiu-jitsu, how many stories, how much stuff. So to me, as much as the black belt means, like as far as an accomplishment, it doesn't really mean anything in the big picture of like competing and training and teaching and all that stuff. You know, it's just another color and it's just going to continue and continue. I do, you know, I love it, man.
You're also doing MMA.
I am.
How many fights have you had?
I'm 3-0.
What drives you to do MMA?
Going back to that little miswiring in my brain.
First step is admitting it.
Yeah, first step, right? Exactly. Rafael Cordero said it to me the best. He said, man, Orlando, you have amazing jiu-jitsu. Some of the best jiu-jitsu I've ever seen. But his exact words were, you were born to fight. Like, just, it's inside me. It's inside me. There's no greater feeling than getting in the mix and getting punched in the face. Or, you know, some guys love and think they want to fight MMA until they get punched in the face. And then they're like, all right, well, let's go back, you know? Let's take a back step. But to me, there's nothing like that. There's no high like that in the world.
What's the difference in the high after winning an MMA fight versus a jiu-jitsu match?
To me, it's kind of the same. I think I have more of a high in those long jiu-jitsu tournaments. Like I've fought up to like, what is it? I think 12 fights in a tournament. Abu Dhabi, I think last year I had, or the year before last, I had like 11 fights.
Wow.
When I won the Absolute Blue in the Worlds, I had like 11 or 12 fights.
Blue's always thick.
Yeah, Blue was, man, that was tough. I won the Absolute a few years ago, and I had like 11 or 12 fights, and that was, I don't think there's any comparable high. I think Renzo just gave a talk the other day on the line about how training for jiu-jitsu tournaments and competing jiu-jitsu tournaments makes you the toughest in the world, like even more so than in like MMA and stuff, because of that treacherous like 1 fight, 2 fight, 3 fight. I mean, I can't even think about doing 12 fights right now in a day. I don't even know how I did it, but that's helped me so much in MMA. You know.
Would you say you like those long marches?
I do. I think I think that long high is awesome. You know.
Yeah.
I've had 3 MMA fights, but they've all been like, the first one was like 15 seconds. The second one was a minute 40, and the third one, the one I just fought 2 weeks ago, was a minute 20.
So you just get it done.
Yeah.
If you're competing in jiu-jitsu against a guy who you outclass, do you ever like to showboat, or you just want to get the job done?
I don't think I'd ever showboat in a jiu-jitsu match. I'm not about like disrespecting an opponent like that, you know.
Well, Cyborg recently had a match in Switzerland, and I don't know if showboating is the right word. Maybe we can decide after we watch the match.
He definitely put on a show.
It was very entertaining, and just like today in Mexico, Cyborg didn't have stiff competition in Switzerland. Let's watch part of this clip.
Frank, can you
Can't see the score from where we are, but it must, it's in the double digits.
Yeah, he's just running looking
Side to side, knee on belly, going
looking like a slot machine.
That's what Hummel used to do to me when I started.
Right. And he has the option to put the hooks in or get them out, but he doesn't.
Yeah, you can tell he can lock it down if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be awesome if someone slam dunked the basketball hoop in the background.
And one.
You see,
One mixtape style.
You see a trampoline slowly wheel out. Looking
The guy in like a bear suit or something.
looking like Space
Big
Jam.
mascot.
But talk about big guys moving like little guys. Cyborg
Right?
is the man. He moves so well for a guy his size. Look at that. He's just dancing.
It seems like, you see this with Buchecha too. In Orlando, you can maybe speak to this. This seems to be the new breed of heavier guys, is that they can move now. Mm-hmm. It's not all just crush and go.
See, I'm used to it because of the football background, like American football. You have like, I was surrounded by guys all my football career who were like 3-something and moved like little deer, So I'm used to it. So I think that's where my mobility, my agility stuff comes into play too, because I'm used to tussling with the huge guys who can, dance on one foot and limbo,
So what do you think? Is that showboating? Is that disrespectful?
I think it depends on the circumstance. I don't know. I wasn't there at the tournament, or I wasn't there,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the situation.
Right.
Maybe the guy said something about his mom before the match or something.
But at the end of the match, you could see the other guys happy and the crowd's cheering.
Yeah,
So it seemed like
in a situation like that, for sure.
Right.
It's all good. The guy's he gives respect. It's due.
Yeah. In Switzerland, you're probably not exposed to a lot of high-level jiu-jitsu. The audience would much rather that go on 7 minutes than one.
So let me flip the script. Maybe the other guy was stoked that Rodolfo didn't come out there and just crush him immediately.
Yeah.
Like let him play a little bit.
I think I see a lot in jiu-jitsu. I see it everywhere I go and I travel and I train and stuff, is when there's someone at a high level like Cyborg who shows up to a place like that, like it's an honor to get your ass kicked by someone like that.
Yeah.
It really is, Like I know for me when I first started, man, every time I went with somebody big name and they rolled me up, I was like pumped.
Yeah.
Like thanks, man.
I was just gonna ask that because we saw the Ted match, and you can't help but think all the guys went with him. It's like,
Yeah, for sure.
Like
For
when are you gonna get that opportunity
For sure.
again?
I think that's the beauty of like people when they have no ego in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. I love that, man.
I never understand guys that get pissed off when you submit them.
No.
Speaking of other great matches, Mario Sperry will face Fabio Gurgel in a super fight at the Abu Dhabi Common Challenge 2013.
That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Orlando, what do you think that's going to look like?
It's going to be awesome. It's two old school, high level, amazing jiu-jitsu fighters. I don't really care what happens. I'm just glad I get to see it,
Do you think you could put money on the barrelhead on who's going to take it home?
I don't know. I don't go. I couldn't say.
The reason this match is happening, in recent years, ADCC's had 2 super fights each tournament. The last time was Braulio Estima versus Jacare, which Braulio won. So Braulio's going to face the current absolute champion, Andre Galvao. That will be one super fight. The other super fight was Renzo versus Mario Sperry, and that was just a match that the Sheik pulled out of the air because he learned from both those guys. He wanted to see what would happen. That match, unfortunately, as good as it sounded, didn't pan out too well. No. It was like a slip and slide. The mat was completely wet, and they're slipping and sliding all over the place.
And everyone said that the mats at that event were really slippery.
They sucked, yeah. So Mario eked out the victory on that one, so that's why Mario Sperry is going to face Fabio Gurgel. So as long as the mat's dry this time, I don't know. I'm going with Fabio on this one.
Yeah, as a fan of the passing game, I have a hard time voting against Fabio. Yeah. But Mario's so tricky. He's so tricky.
Yeah. It could definitely go either way.
And that's what I love about fighting and competing and grappling and MMA and all that. It's you never know.
It's always a roll of the dice.
One thing, one little slip up at that level, one little slip up, one blink of an eye, boom. That's over. That's what I love about it.
Do you think it would appeal to you as much as it does if there wasn't that roll of the dice, if there's always that question?
I think the addict in me, for sure. Right. I got to have something that I don't know the outcome. I got to, I think that's what excites me so much about competing.
So there's a lot of tournaments coming around these days. They got ADCC in 2013, Abu Dhabi Pro, and now we have this Metamoris tournament coming up next month.
It's going to be awesome.
With all these super fights. That's going to be very exciting.
Handed to my press credentials, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to cover that.
That's going to be awesome, man.
October 14th. And on the same day, October 14th, is ADCC North American Trials. That's for the Nogi ADCC to try out.
And the Asia Open.
Asia Open, yeah.
I'm going to be doing that one.
You going to go there?
I'm going to go to Tokyo.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I can't imagine there'd be many guys your size.
No, I'm sure there will be somebody, but
maybe some sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly.
You think you maybe pick up a sumo match?
I'll do the absolute, have some fun.
Right.
But my dream is, since I started, I always said I want to go to Japan, and now it's like perfect. Just got my black belt. I want to, go to Japan, so I'm going to do the Asia Open this year too.
Nice. Do you like sushi?
I love sushi.
You're going to eat a hole in the
I know. I can't wait.
You're going to have a good time. Another tournament coming up is the Masters and Seniors. This is the first time Masters and Seniors Worlds is going to happen here in Long Beach. It's always happened in Brazil. It's called the Masters and Seniors International Tournament in Brazil, but here it's just called the Masters and Seniors Worlds. October 7th, it's going to take place at Cal State Long Beach. We will be doing a live broadcast.
That's going to be awesome.
All day long. Tickets are $10 for that. You can get those on BudoVideos.com. There you see the image there. Some of the notable black belt competitors are Brandon Wolverine Mullins from Gracie Baja, Milton Bastos from Paragon, Vitor Shaolin Hibero. Haven't seen him in competition for a long time.
No, in a while.
One of my favorite guys, Eduardo Telles, the master of the Turtle Guard. He's always fun to watch. Rodrigo Comprido Medeiros, which he just retired.
Right?
But you know what? I've come to learn that when people retire, it means I'm retiring from this competition. He's not going to do the Worlds anymore. Right. Didn't say anything about Masters and Seniors Worlds. So anyway, it's nice to see him back. We won't fall short.
That said, you got to kind of give it to him because reaching for the Worlds, that's pretty lofty.
Yeah. Gustavo Dantas will be there.
That'd be awesome.
Alexandre Paiva, one of Jacare's first Alliance black belts. Ricardo Frangia Miller from Paragon. Orlando Sanchez.
Yeah.
We're outing you officially.
Can you believe that?
Your first competition of black belt.
My first competition of black belt, and I just qualified for Masters. I just turned 30 this year.
Nice.
So I'm going to jump in there and have fun, man. I'm excited.
Excited about it?
I'm super excited.
Yeah. Who's in your weight class?
Comprido will be probably my weight class. I just trained with Pedro Pano this morning. He's deciding. He has an MMA fight in November, so he's decided if he's going to do it or not. But it's going to be fun.
Cool. I'll be there too, competing and commentating. So I look forward to that. Orlando, if you could fight anybody in Jiu-Jitsu, who would you choose?
I don't know. I'm eventually hoping to fight everybody. I feel like I feel like I'm a baby still. Like I'm still wet behind the ears, and if my plans come to, I will eventually fight everybody. Off the top of my head, I would love to fight. I would love to fight Rodolfo Vieira. I have a lot of respect for him, and I like his game, and I play a lot of like his game. I play very similar, very strong on top, pass, knee on belly, armbar, all that kind of stuff. I like it when he's on his back. No nonsense. Just I'm gonna sweep you. I'm gonna sweep you, and I'm gonna sweep. You know, I like his game a lot. I have so much respect for him, and that's the beauty of fighting, competing in jiu-jitsu is when you respect somebody, like you would like to do competition with them. So yeah, you know, everybody. I would love to compete. My goal is to compete, win or lose. I don't care. To compete against everybody.
With Rodolfo, would it be one of those things where win or lose, you're going to come away with a smile?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, all these guys. One thing I've learned is, I think going through the steps that I've come, and reaching to where I've already gotten to, through my drugs, through my many near-death experiences, through all that kind of stuff. Everything else now is like a bonus. So to me, I can't take things so seriously, you know, like, oh my God, compete, like go crazy. Like, no, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna give my best, I'm gonna try to win, of course. But hey, you know, whatever happens, happens. You know?
Do you compete nogi as well?
I do. I have not much, but I'm going to do the Worlds this year.
Nice.
I'm going to do the nogi Worlds because I've been training with Fabricio so much now in MMA and Jiu-Jitsu and stuff. So I'll do the nogi Worlds, and then I'm going to plan on fighting 4 times this year, MMA, and then UFC is my goal. Light heavyweight in the UFC is my goal for my MMA career. So
does competing in Jiu-Jitsu help competing in MMA?
Totally. I think it's the whole mindset, everything, you know, and competing with someone, whether it be punch in the face or whatever, that whole like process of getting ready and battling and those split-second decisions that you have to make, it's all very similar. The only difference is MMA, one wrong split-second decision will get you cracked in the face, you know? So you have to be a little bit more fine-tuned with that, you know. So.
Right.
If you could go back and talk to Orlando as a white belt and give him one piece of advice, what would you tell him?
Dang.
Man, that's a good one.
That's a heck of a question.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would go back and tell him I would say give it, like I think at the beginning, I got away with not giving 100%, and I still was able to win. You know, I would say go back and really give it 100%. Like from the beginning, you know, it took me a while to like get rolling and to really dedicate myself, because coming off of drugs and all that kind of stuff. If I can go back to that one, I would say that. But it's hard. It's hard speaking to an addict's mind, you know. So me sober, going back to a non-sober white belt, it's a hard task, you know, because when you're on drugs or coming off of drugs, you don't hear or see anybody. Nothing. It's your world, you're selfish, you're a narcissist. Nothing or nobody matters.
What do you try to drill into your white belts at your school? What's like one lesson you'd like for them to take away?
To have fun, to use jiu-jitsu as a tool. Like I've coined this mark champions in life. Like I drill into them, like focus, get your fundamentals down, and use jiu-jitsu as a tool for your everyday life, not just, oh my God, I got to be world champion, gold medal, like, you know, because 98% of each school is not going to be like that, you know. So the biggest thing is, to me, I try to really put into their heads that jiu-jitsu is a tool to better their life, you know, not just, man, I'm the coolest omoplata, the coolest triangle, or the coolest knee on belly, you know. It's really a tool. Like look at it in the bigger picture is what I try to drill in my white belts. Look at the bigger picture, not like 8,000, you know, leg drags in one day, you know. It's more of the bigger picture. Have fun, spar, respect your opponent, kick each other's ass, choke each other out, crank the arm, and then hug and be a better person the next day, you know.
When did you realize that jiu-jitsu had made that? Because you've pretty much imparted that it's made that effect in your life.
When did I realize that?
Was it total retrospective or?
Yeah, I couldn't even put like a finger on it. But I think as I started going through the belts and winning and competing and then coming back and like seeing the school that I created like start growing and like have a group of students, and I think that's when it started hitting me. Like, wow, Orlando, like you have a responsibility now. You know, like people look up to you, and people come to class to learn from you. So it was really surreal to me, like really realizing that everything I say and do and the way I act in my life and the stuff that I'm not happy that I've done before, the stuff that, you know, was bad, I have to really be aware of it now, you know, especially being in the position I'm in now as a black belt, as a school owner, as a father, husband, all that kind of stuff.
Getting back to drug use for a minute, when we were in school, I'm sure you watched a lot of drug prevention videos, and people always told us, don't do drugs, say no to drugs, all that stuff. What do you think you could have heard that would have deterred you from using drug use?
Nothing. It goes way deeper than like, oh, I'm just going to try drugs, you know. I have a therapist now who I work with, who I'm very proud of. Like, I'm very proud to say that, you know, because I'm working on making myself the best champion in my life, you know. So, and I realized, like, it all started when I was just born. You know, it's a lifelong of stuff. It's not just one day, oh yeah, that cocaine looks good, I'm gonna try it. No, it's me hunting for something to make me feel better. Is, you know, and I've realized that, and therapy was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Mixed with jiu-jitsu, going straight to the top.
Doc Tubbs from the chat room says, getting on drugs is easy. Getting off them is hard. I'm glad you are off and you are not afraid to share your experiences with young people. You know, the first meeting I ever went to, I remember my best friend Mike Catherwood is who I owe a lot to. He's on Love Line with Dr. Drew, Cyborg from Caracas. He's 11 years sober, and he was the one who actually got me into the first meeting and stuff. And getting sober is the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. Hardest. Jiu-Jitsu, fighting whoever, the world, whatever. Getting sober was the most difficult.
But worth it.
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't be alive, you know, for sure.
And that's 100%. What you mean by competition, all of that jiu-jitsu is a bonus?
That's all a bonus to me. Like, that's why I can't take it so serious, you know? When I'm cracked out in a room for 4 days, doing blow, like, beyond belief, you know, staring out my window to nothing, that's hard. You know, that was hard to look back to, you know? I couldn't even imagine myself going through that. So I remember the first meeting I went to, this lady came up and said, she goes, you think getting high, you think you're a tough guy, you think you're, you know, this and that. And she goes, try getting sober and we'll see how tough you really are. So me winning that, there's no championship belt, there's no nothing in the world that could help me feel better, you know, nothing. Right. That's the biggest championship I've ever won. I'm the heavyweight champion of my own world, you know.
So what you said was true, getting sober was?
Hardest. Getting sober was, it's still, because every day I wake up and I go to sleep and I wake up and I go to sleep still thinking about it. If you're an addict, you understand, it'll never leave you, never. It's still in the back room pumping iron, you know, as my therapist says. My addiction's still in the back of my head and it's getting stronger and stronger, and it's weightlifting, and it's up to me to, you know, keep him at bay. So it's awesome. And jiu-jitsu is a tool for me, and that's where my whole champions in life things come from, you know. It's a tool for me to live the life that I'm supposed to live that honest, respectable life now, you know.
Well, Orlando, it's been great having you on the show, learning more about your background. And
for sure. It's been a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. I was really excited to come.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you.
If people want to keep in contact with you, where can they find you online?
They can find me, they can go to my website, gbpasadena.com. My Twitter is at OrlandoGBDina, and Instagram, OrlandoGBDina. And all that information is there. And Facebook, I'm also on Facebook. Orlando Sanchez.
All right. Looking forward to seeing you at the Masters and Seniors
I'm looking forward to competing. It's going to be a great time.
All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll be on the mat soon with an exclusive technique from Orlando Sanchez.
Yeah.